This was the scene outside Primark's newest store on Oxford Street just a few months ago. People pushing and shoving to get their hands on the cheapest clothes on the high street. This year, the company's sales went up by 36%. Supermarkets and stores like Primark are meeting the growing demand for fashion on a budget.
It was sort of about 4 years ago when the phrase fast fashion was coined, and there was a huge wave of excitement. The media, the fashion magazines and the fashion press were really excited, and they really caught on to that idea of fast fashion, throwaway fashion, clothes that you would buy for one season and then you dispose of them at the end of the season.
I just bought this whole outfit, the jacket, the jeans and the top, for less than £20. But what's the real cost? These are some of the workers abroad who make clothes for the British High Street. Charities claim many earn just £17 a month for working up to 16 hours a day.
In Bangladesh, for example, we know that lots of young women are having to work 80-hour weeks for as little as 4 or 5 pence an hour, and that they don't get the breaks and they don't get the free time or the days off that we take for granted.
Primark and other high street stores and supermarkets say they're part of an ethical trading initiative and are constantly monitoring and improving working conditions in the factories that supply to them. They do spot checks to ensure workers are being treated fairly, but often factory bosses know when the inspectors are coming.
You just go in, you see something cheap and think, oh, we've got a bargain here. I don't think you think of the bigger picture.
I know I should be more conscious about the origins of clothes, but you know, you have a little money and you want to get as much as possible with that money. So.
At least I'm buying the clothes, so it keeps them in work. If I didn't buy the clothes, they wouldn't be able to be making the items. So.
Okay, so what's more important to you, buying ethically or getting a bargain?
Both, buying ethically and getting the bargain. I'm a single mum at the end of the day, you need to sort of buy what's relevant for your family.
Topshop sells a range of ethical clothes made by workers in Ghana who don't work in sweatshops and are paid a decent wage. Some high street stores sell products which are made with fair trade cotton, which often means farmers get paid above the going rate. But campaigners claim these clothes are being made in the same factories as the lower priced clothing, and shops could do more.
We're not asking people to turn away from cheap clothes because there's no evidence to suggest that if you buy any clothes that are any more expensive, they're made in any better conditions. So buying cheap isn't necessarily buying bad. Problem is that no one puts enough pressure on the companies to change.
Charities want us to write to these shops and ask them to pay better wages to the people who make the clothes they sell. But are any of us going to go to that much trouble? And are we really likely to give up the bargains in return for peace of mind? Come for Ebo, BBC News.
It's cheap, it's fashionable, and £1 in every 10 spent on clothes in Britain is spent here. But is Primark our guilty pleasure? Primark say all their clothing is made inside factories and they insist workers are properly paid. So what are these women doing finishing their garments in the backstreet slums of India at 7 pence an hour? Primark say they never employ children, so what are these children doing beading nightwear in a refugee camp?
And the girl? She's 11. She's 11 years old.
Primark say independent auditors check their entire production chain to ensure this doesn't happen. But we went to the places auditors never go, to find a workforce that officially doesn't exist.
Any inspectors or anything ever come? No, nobody's come.
Primark's first reaction was that they didn't recognise this garment and denied selling it. But our undercover buyers found it on their rails and ordinary shoppers bought it, trusting their ethical guarantees.
The kids, that's what's shocking me the most. They should be out playing and doing kids stuff instead of working.
Primark now say they've been lied to by their suppliers and feel let down. But is the whole fast fashion industry based on a lie? That we can buy clothes this cheap without cheating the people who make them?
Slaves in Manchester, the headline to an article that claims a supplier here in the city is run like a sweatshop. The News of the World's joint investigation with the BBC found illegal immigrants working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for as little as £3 an hour. A journalist went undercover at a number of locations in Manchester, including here at TNS Knitwear, and she found illegal immigrants from across the world working up to 84 hours a week and being paid just over half the minimum wage. Some of the factories are believed to breach basic health and safety regulations, and in one factory the report found dozens of exhausted immigrants crouched over heavy knitting machines enduring thunderous noise from the machines. And all this just a mile and a half from Primark's hugely successful city centre store. Primark is the biggest budget clothing store in the country, hugely popular with young people and mums who can dress the family for under a tenner. Its widespread appeal meant that last year it reported profits of around £233 million. But it's repeatedly come under fire for using suppliers in third world countries that grossly underpay and overwork their staff. But this latest revelation is all the more shocking because it's here in the UK.
Well, I think there's a good case for closing the factory immediately because they're clearly trading in gross violation of the law. They knew what they were doing. They're deliberately flouting the law. I really do think that they've got to have the well-known book thrown at them, because if that's not done, the signal is it doesn't really matter, and it does matter. It does matter.
Primark boasts of ethical trading and says it regularly checks to make sure its workers are being treated fairly. But according to the report, in all 140 UK stores, they've now been forced to take down any references to ethical trading initiatives. Primark has launched its own investigation into the claims, and a solicitor representing TNS Knitwear says the owner denies the allegations. For both Primark and the factory owners, their attempts at saving money could prove very costly.